The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.com, has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93-39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's the race for the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start-finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you love it,
here we go.
You love it. The 0-1 gets around, the 5 gets around. Big choke for the point.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to what is the 4th broadcasted year of the 16th Street Racing League here now on RaceSpotTV from the beautiful Homestead Miami Speedway. Will Vincent along with Dave Judson, Cam Walsh as qualifying from Homestead just getting underway right now. We will get your qualification times along the left-hand side of your screen. You can see that Christopher Demerit just moving himself into provisional pole position, but Olszewski moving himself now up into that top 5 as well. And Dave, it is a new season of the 16th Street Racing League, but that means that we always come to Homestead Miami Speedway.
Yes, well, Homestead seems to be the track that hosts the first race of the season. It's a wide open track where lots of grooves to run in, and with the new DW12, it's kind of a clean slate for everyone this season. Really don't know who's got, the fastest cars yet, so it'll be an interesting race to watch and see who ends up at the top step of the podium.
And you can see a couple of drivers on track. Olszewski moves himself to fastest so far, but Brennan Lichtenberg has just completed himself a run. He moves himself into 8th place for the time being, because Ryan Norton moving himself up into 7th position. It is all over the place in qualifying right now, Dave.
Yeah, well, guys are doing their laps right now. 2 laps to get to the top of the charts. So far, Olszewski's looking fast. Chris Demerit in 2nd. Looks like you're going to have a time in the low 24.1s if you want to have the pole position for this race and the points that go along with it.
Running on board with Tony Hellman, who's currently down in the 24th position, working himself down into turn number 3 and 4. He worked himself out that final corner, work himself towards the start finish line. Hellman will move himself up no higher than 13th place in qualifying here today. Looks like pretty much everyone has now qualified. You've got Kerry Bettenhausen, who I believe has just completed his run, moving himself up into the 10th position. And a couple of guys you have to go out on track. Here is Terry Mattinson out on the racetrack. We've also got Nefri Arg on the racetrack as well. And who can forget 2 years in a row, Nefri Arg being involved in some great battles here at Homestead, Dave.
Yeah, Homestead has provided some pretty entertaining finishes. I know Nefri Arg won 2 seasons ago, and then he was looking to repeat last year. He had a great 3-way battle for the lead and ended up running out of fuel to lose the race. Quite a heartbreaking finish for him, but I know Courtney Terrell became the victor of that race and took advantage of Nefri's misfortune there at the end last season.
Then let's ride along board with Nefriarg. This comes down in towards turn number 1. Doesn't look so bad right now on this run, but because the times are so close together, you really don't know until you get that lap up on the board, Dave.
Well, it's kind of hard to say. A car could look really good but be slow, and at the same time a car could be all over the place and have speed in it. As Nefri completes his first lap, it only puts him 22nd on the board, but that's not the speed we were really expecting from the Snake Pit guys, as apparently they're calling themselves now. I'm sure he's not going to be happy with that time. almost 2/10 off the pole. So his teammate Tim Holgate qualified 4th. So Nefry's definitely not going to be happy with that.
Yeah, one final driver scored on the racetrack right now. That is Bud Weiser in the number 42 car. Of course, you saw him in the ISWC Indianapolis 500 just a couple of weeks ago. He worked himself out of corner number 4, down towards the start finish line, and he will get himself a time in the book, moving himself up into 29th for the time being. Well, that pretty much concludes qualifying, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to step aside for just one moment, and we will be right back.
Well, with such a large field, there's a lot of guys to look for. I'm going to look at Tim Holgate and Ryan Norton and Nefry Ogg. Those are the 3 guys I'm going to keep a special eye on today, especially Nefry coming through the back. He's always been an entertaining driver, dazzles us with his driving abilities. So coming from 22nd, if he wants to get the win, he's going to have to make some pretty daring passes, I think. Just like the old saying goes, you can't win the race on the first lap, but you can sure as heck lose it. So if you're getting into trouble early, you're definitely not going to have a shot at winning the first race. Well, Christopher Demerit wasn't listening to the can't lose and win it on the first lap thing, cutting it real close to his teammate Matt Pawlowski, but they come out clean. Tim Holgate jumps to the outside. Looks like he wants to take the lead quickly as he dives inside of Daniel. Very close for the first lap. Tim Holgate takes it over Osowski by just a 100th of a second. These guys know that the best time to make passing opportunities are going to be on restarts because it tends to kind of go single file a little bit after that. So got to make your moves early.
Side-by-side racing, Olszewski on the outside, Holgate down on the inside. This is your battle for the race lead, and just behind you can see that Persky and Demerit are right there in the picture as well. We ride along board with Christopher Demerit. That you can see the battle for the race lead just ahead of him. Olszewski on that outside line, Holgate on that inside line, and Olszewski looks as though he's been able to clear Holgate and put himself just about a couple of cars ahead now, Dave.
Olszewski finally clears Holgate, got the clean air in the front of the car. His car will work the best. The wash off these cars really pushes the guys behind you up the track. The farther back in the pack you go, the stronger that effect tends to be. So track position is going to be key today, I think.
Let's have a look down the field. You riding on board now with Kerry Bettenhausen in the 14th place on the racetrack, just behind Pit Cordell. You've got Nell McBride there in the mix on the racetrack. We've been green since the drop of the green flag, so the early momentum for these drivers now going to start to settle in, but it is intense. And you see just behind you've got Terry Matinson, Nefri Arg. They're running side by side. Nefri Arg is on the move early in the 04 car, Dave.
Yeah, Nefri knows he's got to start making up spots quick, because if these guys get strung out at all, it's going to be really hard to make up spots until you either catch a caution or some green flag pit stops. So Nefri's always been an aggressive guy, but also he's cautiously aggressive. So he knows how to make passes and where to make them. Doesn't really do anything stupid. So he's taking advantage of that right now and moving up.
A bit more side-by-side racing. The red, white and blue Stars and Stripes car of Jim McClaw making a bit of contact there with Roger Power. Roger Power as they work themselves down in towards turn number 1. Powell in that 80 car on that high side. The two did make a little bit of contact, and Powell just now falling down the field. I'm not sure if he's got any damage there, Dave.
Well, I'm trying to look at his car as it goes by. He seems to be okay, but definitely a momentum track here at Homestead, Miami. It's going to take him a lap or so to regain that back, and watching him now, I think he's back in form.
So out front it is Daniel Olszewski. There you can see him. There you can see the gap behind to Tim Holgate. It's about 3.5 tenths of a second as they work themselves towards the conclusion of lap number 8 here at Homestead Miami Speedway. But Olszewski, we saw this at Indy just a couple of weeks ago in the ISWC Indianapolis 500, Dave, in that it takes them a couple of laps to get going, but then they are incredibly fast.
Yeah, the P1 team led by Olszewski has found something where once they get a couple laps in, they're pretty quick. Holgate's trying to hang on right now. You can see him pushing up in the corners while Dan's able to keep his car kind of on that second seam. It's important to be out front, like I was saying earlier. The aero push behind is just so strong, and it's really hard to dial out with your onboard tools with the weight jacker and whatnot. So just staying out front is going to be key, but Tim's making some gains right now.
Indeed he is, and Courtney Terrell, by the way, running himself in the 12th position for the time being. You see, he's starting in 12th, running in 12th. You're just listening to his engine note through turn 1, a big lift. These drivers, of course, do have their anti-roll bars through front and rear, and the weight jacker that they can use over the course of this run. And Dave, these guys are going to be heavy on those in-car tools here today.
Tim Holgate to the inside of Dan for the lead. It looks like he's... Oh, I thought he was going to be able to take it, but Dan's going to try to roll the momentum on the top. And Tim Holgate gets loose. Wow. Well, that could have been disastrous.
It could have been. We'll get ourselves a look at that on our instant replay. Running along board then with Tim Holgate. You can see he gets himself nicely set up down in towards turn number 1. Holds that inside line. Now, this is one of the issues of Homestead. You can see that rear end just stepping out. That cost him. That was 2 times that car got loose there, Dave.
Yes, it did, but Tim made up for the next lap. He dove to the inside of Dan in a pretty aggressive pass to take the lead, and Krista Merritt looking to the inside, trying to take advantage also.
Yeah, so there you can see your top 3-4 drivers. Holgate leading the way now. Olszewski in second. Then you've got Demerit in third, Blinsky in fourth, and Ryan Norton now up into the 5th position. Brandon Troy's working side by side with him as they work themselves down that back straightaway once again, riding along board with Brandon Trost there in that 5th position. And actually, we'll flip the curve to the rear. There you can see Ryan Norton right in his rear view mirror as they come back down towards turn number 1, Dave.
Yeah, these guys seem to be trading the lead back and forth. Tim Holgate's now pulling out a little bit. It's kind of funny how they are going back and forth. You look through the back of the field, the rest of the guys are kind of single file, but these guys up front are able to trade the lead. So they've obviously got the setup worked out pretty good. I'm keeping an eye on Dan. Daniel's car has been all over the place the last couple laps. One lap he's real solid in the corner. Next lap he'll like touch the white line and shoot up the track. So he might be fast, but I'm not sure if the car's kind of settled under him like he wants it to be.
Of course, so it is a long race, so these guys will have the opportunity to make some adjustments on their first round of pit stops, which, if we stay green, will be arguably around the lap 40 mark of today's event. We're working ourselves on lap number 17 now, so these tyres are going to start falling off soon, Dave, and this is going to be important.
Dan's wrecking.
Yeah, he's on the
grass
track.
And back straight away.
Yeah, he does bring it back on, but will he actually bring it onto pit road now? He does stay out on the racetrack, but he is mighty slow down on that inside line, and he's going to have to find a way of getting himself back up some speed here. Up to, you can tell, he's underneath 200 miles an hour right now. Back onto the racetrack he comes, but he's now down outside of the top 10, and that car is wicked loose. He's trying to get himself back into the groove. It's just not working for him right now. Let's get ourselves a replay of this, because Dave, it's that thing now. All of a sudden, it's starting to go wrong for Oshevsky.
Yeah, well, you know, I was talking with the Banshee guys yesterday. They were in a practice session, and they were telling me, John Porzik was telling me, if you run below the last seam on the bottom towards the white line, after a couple laps, these tires get real hot, and the car does not like running on the bottom. And when Dan got loose there, he was all the way down below that seam, and I think it's just taken him this long to recover all that momentum back and cool those tires down enough where he can get into a groove again. So watch for guys if they get loose and see if they're on that bottom line underneath that first seam in turns 1 and 3. That seems to be an area where guys are going to get bit tonight.
And he was getting tight, then he tried to put himself onto the power, got loose, lost himself a lot of time. We'll stay on board with Oshevsky for the time being. Oh no,
Tony Hellman hit him and wrecked him.
He just made some contact there. You can see just as we came back live,
big crash.
Oshevsky, this is going to be a caution. Caution is going to be out for the first time. Wicked crash there.
That was a big wreck. More guys are piling in and wrecking.
Randy Crosno involved. Eric
out.
Davis involved in that one. We'll get ourselves an instant replay up, because that all started with that contact with Hellman, and then it just carried on from there. So let's have a look. This is, you see, Hellman and Oshevsky work themselves down towards turn number 1 and 2, work themselves out of turn 2, then onto the back straightaway. Now all is fine here, and the incident happens as Hellman just comes across there, Daniel Oshevsky, and from here on in, there's never going to be anything that could happen.
Yeah, Hellman was not quite clear, cut the front nose off of Daniel, and then Austin Esprit hit him. That shot Daniel up in the one of the Banshee guys right in front of Jim McClure. He tried to stay out of the way, got loose again, and then the 76 car Dave Jinks hit him, and then Eric Davis got caught up, and a bunch of other guys got caught up in that. And then it looked like Randy Crosno wasn't able to slow down fast enough, and he hit his teammate who was wrecking and took the whole front nose off of his car. So a lot of good guys that were stuck in the back of the field. They're paying for the bad qualifying times right now, being on pit road with damaged cars.
Definitely so. Let's have a look then from on board of Eric Davis. You can see it all starting ahead of him. Car comes down the racetrack, comes back up the racetrack. It's the worst thing you can ever have happen to you there, Dave.
Yeah, once the car starts spinning in front of you, it's kind of hard to pick and choose where you want to go. The car, with the weather being 90 degrees and the stiff wind, it's hard to kind of choose where you want to go anyway. So if someone spins where you want to go, you kind of can't avoid it.
Pit road open, Holgate first one off, but then Ryan Norton moves himself up into second, Christopher Demerit into third, and then you've got yourself Matt Politsky in the fourth position. Brandon Trost rounds out your top 5. First pit stop is in the books here at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Well, it looked like everyone decided to pit except for Jonathan Goke in his breast cancer awareness car for the month of October. He chose to stay out and will assume the lead. This will be an interesting move for Mr. Goke.
Indeed so. We will step aside for just one moment We'll be right back with continuing coverage here from Homestead Miami Speedway. Stick with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to continuing coverage of this, the first round of the 2014 16th Street Racing League on RaceSpotTV. We do apologise for some of the audio issues we had a little bit earlier on, but those lights are now off on top of the pace car, and here is your race leader, Tim Holgate. He was involved in some battles early on with Daniel Olszewski, but Olszewski's car stopped working in it, and Dave, what this means is we had ourselves a big old pile-up towards the middle part of the field. Dave, what this means is that we've got ourselves a big old pile-up that happened towards the end of the field. Olszewski is out, and he is not the only one. Tim Holgate, however, is classified in the lead of this event. So then you can see there were cars working themselves back down towards turn number 3 and 4 to run through your top 5. It is Tim Holgate from Christopher Demerit, Matt Persky in 3rd, Brandon Trost in 4th, Brendan Lichtenberg rounds out your top 5. As you can see there, we're walking ourselves on board once again with Tim Holgate. That pace car will make its journey back down towards pit road, completing our first caution of the day here from Homestead. It will do so. We'll go back to green flag racing here at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Great restart by Tim Holgate. Sorry, well, I was accidentally muted earlier. Big development during the caution. Ryan Norton's internet connection robbed him out from 2nd place. He is out of the race, so big contender gone.
Indeed, so our second big contender of the day. But you can see as we look high above here at Homestead Miami Speedway, there is your race leader. Got himself about a 4/10 of a second gap over Christopher Demerit. There is the view from the rear, but Demerit is closing heavily. There you can see down in towards number 1 and 2 again. 27 laps will be completed, and back to caution here. Let's figure out who that one was. We've got 1 or 2 cars falling down the field, and you can see Jonathan Gogue. He's all bent up in his pink car there, Dave.
Yeah, Jim McClure, looks like Esprit was a little aggressive diving to the inside of Jim McClure going in 3, hooked him, so he got involved. And then it looks like Gary Borkenhagen was involved, and I think that was it. For whatever reason, we'll have to check and see, but Gogue must have joined the race late. He's listed as 7 laps down, so my bad saying he was leading earlier.
Yeah, and we'll get ourselves another replay of that with Esprit. This is them working themselves down first of all towards turn number 2. So no issues here, and then they'll work themselves down the back slowly. Caution came down in turn number 3 and 4. You'll see it right about here as they come down into the corner. This is where the issue is going to be, and Esprit just involved in that one. There you can see Esprit, and believe that potentially you might have had McClure involved in that one as well. Because there you can see McClure, unfortunately, is going to be classified as out of this race, Dave. Upside down, never what you want to have see happen to you in the early going of any event.
No, absolutely not. Being upside down is definitely not a good way to win unless you're in Days of Thunder. These guys they know that you got to take advantage of these restarts. The pushes, the aero push and wash from behind the cars in front of you is not too bad on the restarts. So guys are getting aggressive, trying to make up any spot they can, and it seems to be biting a couple guys right now. Some big players out of the race right now.
Yeah, which they can see looking high above. There are your top 5. Holgate is still leading the way. Christopher Demerit in the 2nd place. Matt Polinsky in 3rd. Brandon Trost in the 4th position. Brendan Lichtenberg in the top 5. Run through some of the guys classified as not in the race right now. You've got yourselves Ryan Broderick, Jackson Lee, Paul Coleman Jr., Randy Freeman, Dwayne Cooper, Niles Anders, Dave Jinks, Eric Davis, Daniel Leszewski, Steve Richardson, Ryan Norton, and Jim McClure classified as out of the race. Tronco is circulating on the racetrack, but he is classified as 7 laps down right now.
I look back at the replay, him and Mike Perry got into a little tussle, and got the worst of it, got into the wall, had to pit for 7 laps for repairs.
There we are, as you can see, in the pink 08 machine. And having a look up the field, I can tell you what, a couple of people who are making some moves in the early going. Joe Branch, he's up 9 positions since he dropped the green flag here, working himself through that traffic and keeping his nose clean in the early going there, Dave.
Yep, keeping your nose clean, definitely a good way to go. I mean, we're only running on lap 30 of 140, still 110 laps to go. This is a long race. I know it's first race of the season, and there's a little bit of butterflies, and you're just trying to get up to the front. But guys got to take it easy, and guys are taking it easy, making their moves carefully, are being rewarded right now.
Let's have a look at Brendan Lichtenberg as well, because he was a bit of a sensation in last season's championship. He's up 4 places since the drop of the green flag here today. Lichtenberg, you've got to argue, along with Holgate, you've got to immediately put them into that championship picture because they are so strong on both the road courses and the ovals, Dave.
Yeah, you're going to have to be pretty well-rounded with this 20-race season. There's a ton of road course races going on, and you can't write anything off. You're going to have to be good everywhere if you want a shot at winning the championship this season.
And then, of course, you've got other drivers who we're going to be paying attention to throughout the course of the day. It'll be interesting to see how some of these guys towards outside the top 10 are going to do. Here is Courtney Taylor, of course, last year's winner. Now, he's got a good shot if, again, he can keep himself clean, getting himself up through the field. He's at 1 place since the drop of the green flag here today. So no big moves in the early going for Terrell, but still a lot of racing to go.
Not a lot of big moves for Terrell, but Nefery has definitely moved up from his 22nd starting position. He's moved up 10 spots to 12, and you know he's going to be eyeing a top 10 position here pretty quickly on this next restart. I'd keep an eye on him. He's going to make things pretty interesting. And if I'm Courtney Terrell, Vic Caudill, or Alice Stevens, I'd watch out because Nefery's probably going to go by them pretty quickly.
Yeah, those lights are off on the top of the iRacing.com, a pace car, including our 2nd caution of the day. And for any of these guys, what do you want to have happen now, Dave? I'm presuming it's going to be a long green flag run.
Yeah, I know Tim Holgate's probably looking for a long green flag run. If I'm Tim Holgate, you know, you're a championship contender year in, year out, one of the best talented drivers in the series. I want a green flag stop so you can kind of, as long as you hit that really good, you can kind of distance yourself from some of the guys who may not be able to hit their green flag stops really well. So Tim's hoping for a long green flag run, probably wants to pull away if he can.
So you can see, looking from the rear of Tim Holgate, as we get to go back to green flag racing here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And a good jump that time by Tim Holgate as they storm back down in towards turn number 1.
Very good start for Tim. I noticed that Demerit is unable to do anything with him on the restart. Tim just pulls away, pulls a nice gap, but then with the draft, Demerit is able to suck back up, and we'll see if he's able to do anything this time. Tim's pretty smart, so he's going to run the car where he needs to keep those guys behind him, I think, because Tim's probably got the pure speed over these guys right now.
Working on board with Ellis Stevens down in the 11th place on the racetrack, involved in a nice battle, because here you can see, we'll cycle that camera around, Nefriard right behind Ellis Stevens on that ABC supply car. This is where the big action is. Around Vic Cordell, Courtney Tell, Ellis Stevens, Nefriard, Kerry Bettenhausen, all of these guys working remarkably close on the racetrack right now, Dave.
Yeah, as Ellis Stevens gets loose, Nefri drives to his outside. It's kind of where the Hornet's nest is right now, in around the 10th position. Guys are pretty evenly matched in speed, so they're going to be all over each other.
Will Nefriar go down to the inside? I don't think so, but you can see that Ellis Stevens is still right behind Courtney Tell as well. Now, once you're running in these big packs, Dave, it becomes incredibly difficult to figure out what your car is going to do, whether it's going to go loose, whether it's going to go tight, because the air taken away from the front of these cars, especially on a multi-groove track like we have at Homestead Miami Speedway, is now Nefriar will go down to the inside of Stevens in this battle for the 11th position. You've got to really do it on a lap-by-lap basis.
Yeah, every lap seems to be different. It depends on who's running in front of you where. If you got two cars running in front of you side by side, that really, you got the draft of two cars in front of you, which can kind of send your car everywhere. You lose a lot of front end grip because that air is just not hitting that front wing. So each lap's different. Depends on what line you're in. Guys are trying to aim even for like getting a wing underneath of another car just so they can get that precious air on their front.
Working on board with Brendan Lichtenbergers, he will go down to the inside of Brandon Trost in that battle for the 4th position. And this is what we mean by this, a multi-groove racetrack. The outside line does work as well as the inside line. You can see Lichtenberg not able to get it working on that inside groove, and as you alluded to earlier, run that inside line too much is going to be of a detriment to you.
Yeah, you're scrubbing a lot of speed off down there, Will. Trying to hold the car down there. Trost can roll the momentum on the top, and he can let that wheel free up a lot sooner. You almost kind of have to dive the car in there and get in front of the guy you're trying to pass before you hit the apex of the corner, so you can move up, wash up a little bit, take the nose off the front of the guy you're competing against, and then try to drive away.
As we work ourselves now on lap number 38 of 100 here. For those of you just joining us, 2 cautions in the early going of this race. We had about a half fuel run green flag to start this. We've got ourselves one driver who is just very slowly going to come into contention with your race leaders. Running a little bit off the pace right now. We'll get confirmation of who that is in just a while. But our first caution was caused by Daniel Oshevsky, who first of all got loose down in towards turn number 2, got himself into the grass. And that's that thing, if you do hit that grass, it is very difficult to find a way of getting that momentum back, because cars are just swarming around you on both the outside and the inside, Dave.
Yeah, well, the grass is definitely a place you don't want to go. They fly by you so fast. I mean, I'm watching Tim Holgate right now going into the corner, going at almost 226 miles an hour. You got guys going by you on either side of you, 220 plus miles an hour. It's really hard to get out of the way, even if you're going like 30 miles an hour slower after having a little incident. And it sounded like Mike Perry might have just had an issue. He just crashed off at turn 2, Will.
Now we see Mike Perry. We'll get ourselves a replay of that. We do stay green for the time being, but there's some substantial damage to Mike Perry's right-hand side. And this is on lap number 42 of this event. Let's see what happened to Mike Perry. Oh, he made contact there. I believe that was one of the P1 racing cars he made contact with, just at the rear of our replay. But he did make a little bit of contact. He was helped along there. We'll get ourselves another replay with Mike Perry working themselves out of turn number 4. Side-by-side racing with the red, white and blue Stars and Stripes car. The two make contact in the center of the corner. Mike Perry up into the wall. And then to compound matters, he then gets himself, you'll just see there, that car spinning around down in turn number 2 on the exit. He does miss that inside retaining wall, but some substantive damage to the right-hand side suspension for Mike Perry, Dave.
Well, it looked like just, in my opinion, a racing incident. 2 guys battling for one position. I think Powell might have pushed up a little bit. Mike Perry may have been able to give a little room in hindsight, but usually the guy on the outside pays the price for contact here at Homestead.
And there you can see Mike Perry bringing his car back down on towards pit road. His day is pretty much, for all intents and purposes, going to be done. One driver who is still flying, however, is Tim Holgate, lap number 45 here. And Holgate is looking incredibly strong right now. This is the gap to Christopher Demerit behind him. It's up now to 0.6 of a second. Holgate is getting close to breaking away right now.
Well, it looks like from practice that I've been watching, if you're 8 to 9 tenths of a second ahead of a driver, you can break the draft. And if, as I'm sure is the case, Tim's pretty quick. He's probably got that car trimmed out a lot. If he's able to break that draft, you're going to see him gain big chunks of time over Demerit and the rest of the pack.
There you can see the gaps between your top 5, just behind Courtney Terror right along board with him, because he is right there behind Nefriog. But we do notice, Dave, that there is some right front damage to that front wing of Courtney Terror right now.
Yeah, well, it's pretty tight quarters racing, as we saw with Perry and Powell earlier. It doesn't take much to cause a little front wing damage. For Terrell, if he can hold on to it till the next pit stop, the pit crew should be able to put a new front wing on it and should drive all right. And behind them, it's looking a little crazy between Ellis Stevens and Vic Caudill.
Yeah, it's right along board with Stevens once again. He has got himself Cordell to his left-hand side right now to work themselves back down in towards turn number 3 and 4. There you'll see is Vic Cordell on that inside, Ellis Stevens on the outside line. Cordell will just fall back into line. And this has been an ongoing battle. Stevens at the rear end of this top 10 amongst the likes of Cordell. And just behind them as well, you've got Kingsbury involved in a nice little battle with Terry Mattinson in this battle for 12th place on the racetrack day.
Yeah, guys, they're fighting hard right now, trying to gain everything they can. We're only running on lap 49, but lots of points out there right now, and especially these guys who are going to commit to the full season championship. So they're trying to gain every spot they can. And besides, if they weren't really competing with each other and trying to take the spots, why would they even be here?
And Kingsbury now will have his own teammate, Noel McBride, going down to his inside in this, the battle for the 13th place on the racetrack. Nice easy pass made actually there by Noel McBride. And Kingsbury gets loose through the centre of the corner. He just lifted out too much there.
Yeah, you can kind of see as Niall slid up the track, Kingsbury got in the wake there of the car, and the car's handling characteristics definitely changed a little bit. He had to let off, and he then lost the spot to Kerry Bettenhausen.
So this is how it stands right now. Your race leader is still Tim Holgate. His last lap for Holgate was a 24.353. Compared to that to his fastest of the race, he's actually just about right there, but he has got some traffic that you can see now. He's just breezing himself past, and that was Jonathan Goke there, who goes back down a lap. In fact, Goke is held on that outside line, allowing these leaders to go past. Holgate coming into some lap traffic. Now, this is going to be a key to how well these cars are going to work. For Tim Holgate, if he can work himself through traffic, he knows he's got a car that will work for him all race long. And once you get that, it's just such a great feeling, Dave.
Absolutely. Yeah, just a point to bring up, too, while you were talking about lap traffic and not. Demerit's been doing a good job of holding on to Holgate, but now that they've been working through lap traffic, Tim Holgate's been able to slice and dice his way through it a little better and pulled out 2 tenths. So Demerit's close to losing the draft. He may be able to use some of these lap cars to gain that advantage back. We'll see if he can hang on to second and hang on to the leader.
Yeah, it's riding on board there with Kevin Crest, the next driver to go a lap down here. So now 22 cars are scored on the lead lap. Guys, you have running, but not scored on the lead lap. Well, you got Randy Crosnose. You see him on your screen. He was involved in the wars a little bit earlier on. And also Jonathan Goke. Side-by-side racing right now between Trost and Lichtenberg. And there you can see Trost on the inside line, being able to make that move. And he is going ahead of Lichtenberg for the time being. Good start to this race from Brian the Trost. He did have some issues last year with reliability and making sure he could finish some races.
Yeah, Trost is a young talent, and as some young talent goes, have a little bit of trouble being consistent. He had to work his way through some bumps and, learning the ropes and learning when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive. So far, he's run a pretty good race, running in P4, keeping himself in contention for later on in the race.
And Nefriarg and Ray Kingsbury, they are battling mighty close right now. Here you can see Nefriarg, and just to confirm that he is now up 15 spots since this green flag to start the 2014 season. Trying to now get himself past Ray Kingsbury, but his issue is, after he gets past Ray Kingsbury, he's then got a 2-second gap to Brendan Lichtenberg ahead of him. Really, Nefri now is into that phase where he's going to have to use his pure pace rather than the draft to get himself many more positions.
Chances are Nefri's hoping to get by Ray Kingsbury here quickly and the lap car of Kevin Kress. He wants that clean air, cars in the drive more predictable, and then he may be able to make up some time. I mean, he's made up so many spots right now. He seems to have the pace to be able to get up there on his own as he dives inside Ray Kingsbury.
And
Matt Kingsbury's in the pits.
And we've got one Kingsbury in the pits. You've got Nefriarg getting himself past of Ray Kingsbury as they work themselves back down towards turn number 3 and 4. But as we heard just a moment ago, you have got Matt Kingsbury on pit road, just coming out of pit road. Pit stop time for him, 8.3 seconds. Green flag pit stops for some of these drivers as we've got Budweiser also on pit road right now.
Yeah, guys might be trying to play a little strategy pitting early, or maybe they didn't get all the fuel they wanted on the last pit stop. Ooh, just watching Matt and Ray almost get together there in turn 4. Different strategies, guys are thinking differently through the race, see if they can do something different. Maybe they're running the race backwards, trying to pit as early as they can, so they can. Sometimes it's beneficial to pit early, and then if a caution comes out, you can stay out and gain some track position.
Now, Budweiser, for those of you who watched the ISWC Indianapolis 500, had issues with speeding. It happened once again to him by the looks of it, Dave. Too fast on pit road, a 22-second pit stop for him.
Well, he must have had some damage to his car as well, because he has retired his Budweiser machine after the pit stop.
So Budweiser becomes another retiree from this race and classified no higher than 25th position in today's event. But your race leader, Holgate, still continues to lead over Christopher Demerit. Matt Polensky running himself in 3rd position. Tracy in 4th, and then Lichtenberg rounds out your top 5. Just having a look through the field, actually. And John Porzik, we haven't yet talked about him as we're riding on board with him right now. Had some good showing in ISWC competition this year. Won a race at Auto Club Speedway. Started 25th, now running in the 14th spot on the race, 15th spot on the racetrack even.
John is running a very conservative race right now. It tends to be his motive of operation. Keep quiet, don't run into too much trouble. I think he's just waiting for a lot of guys to fall out, as witnessed by Budweiser and some other guys are falling out early. So he's getting a lot of spots and he doesn't really have to do anything, which honestly, that's kind of the best way to move up sometimes. It'll be interesting to see if he can parlay this kind of conservative strategy into a higher running order place a little later in the race as we get through some pit stops.
Yep, and Christopher Demerit continues to run in that 2nd position. He has been able to keep that gap to Tim Holgate. There you can see Holgate. We'll have a look from the rear, and that gap is still about 7/10 of a second on the racetrack for the overall race lead. So Demerit has been able to claw a little bit of that time back, because it was almost up to 1 second, Dave. Now, and as you see, Holgate is coming onto pit road. Green flag pit stops are in abundance right now, because there are a couple of other people making that journey on towards pit road.
Yeah, Matt Pulowski right behind him. Really quick entrance. He probably gained a good second, it looked like, on Holgate here. We'll see how things shake up after all the pit stops.
So here comes Tim Holgate on towards pit road to make his first stop of the day. Get himself some fresh boots and will top himself up with virtual race fuel as well. You've also got, Polensky just behind him on the racetrack. But here is Holgate then for his first stop of the day. Let's see what the time is. It's going to be about 8.1 seconds, 8.9 seconds for him. Matt just behind him, and 9.2 seconds stops. A bit longer there on the gun for Polensky as we ride back along board with him as he comes back out onto the racetrack. So all that time he made on the way in, actually he lost on the way out. Yeah,
very bad pit stop for Matt. He lost a ton of time. He's going to lose a couple positions, it looks like, at least. And it sounded like Gary Bettenhausen was speeding up pit road. And Terry Mathiesen spins out coming onto pit road.
Oh, let's have a
Here they
look.
come.
Look at this. You say everyone pretty much is now on towards pit road. We've got Nefri Arg on pit road as we speak. Let's have a look at his pit time. But you've also got Brandon Trost on pit road. As they can see, Nefri out of pit road. Brandon Trost is on pit road. 9-second stop for him. He will be out and away. Ellis Stevens making his pit stop as we talk. Very busy place is pit road right now. And Ellis Stevens going to be again about a 9-second stop for him. 9.7 out and away. But let's actually have a look at what happened to Terry Mattinson then. Oh, he just lost it the same way. He just caught that grass by the looks of it on the access road. And that is the worst place to ever lose that car. Let's have a look then to get another view of Terry Mattinson coming down on towards pit road, Dave.
Yeah, unfortunately, you push it just a little too hard, clip that grass, and you lose a ton of time, as Terry showed as he spun. Right now, Gary Borkenhagen, who assumed the lead of the race, is coming to pit road.
Yeah, so we'll get one more look at Mattinson. He will be classifying now as laps down. He's at least 2 laps down. So you can see coming down onto pit road, just clipping the grass there. That's what spins him around. Also gives yourself a speeding penalty for good measure. So not what Terry Mattinson wanted to have happen to him. But as we were saying, we've got Borkenhagen, who was on pit road. Here he is making his stop. We've also got David Sockrider on pit road. 8.7 stop there for Gary Borkenhagen, as and officially Tim Holgate goes back to the overall race lead. David Sockrider, you can see, well, an incredibly long stop for him, according to our timing, but it's not completely correct. He's back out onto the racetrack as well, Dave.
Yeah, well, as we've cycled through the green flag pit stops, Tim Holgate retains the lead. Christopher Demerit's damaged by the slow pit stop. Not too bad, because he's actually just clawed back a 1/10 of a second to be within about 8/10 of the lead. So not too bad, but you might have to wonder later if that's going to affect his race. He was right there. I feel like if he'd have gotten out of the pits really well, he might have been right on Holgate's bumper, and we could have a different race going right now.
Oh yeah, because Holgate had a 35.5 second in lap. It wasn't by any means fast for Holgate. I mean, yes, he did have that buffer to work with, but it wasn't the blistering speed of pit stops that we saw from Holgate last season, really.
Yeah, very true. Well, a new rule for the 16th Street League this season. Not allowed to drive through the pit boxes. I was watching Holgate stuff. He drove through 3 or 4. I'm not sure if that rule only applies on exit or entrance, so that'll be something we'll have to keep an eye on, especially if there's a yellow flag stops. If guys are driving through more than one box, there could be some penalties handed out.
We will keep an eye out on that one over the course of the events, not just here, but of course all season long. Just having a look at battle right now between Nell McBride, Gary Borkenhagen and Matt Kingsbury. Seems to have calmed down a little bit, but Joe Branch and Ray Kingsbury, that one is continuing. He had a car well up high there. I believe that was Randy Cosno, who of course he scored laps down, Dave.
Yeah, Randy got involved in one of those earlier wrecks. He's able to keep his car fast enough to meet the minimum speed requirements. Right now running 24th. It's a long season, so he's just trying to gain points wherever he can.
And you can see Ray Kingsbury battling it out with that number 18 car of Courtney Terrell. Some of these guys we saw earlier on are stronger at the start of runs. Other guys are clearly much faster towards the end of runs. For Holgate, he is generally he was faster the last couple of runs than Demerit in the early stages of this run. So now right along board with Joe Branch, and he is going to go down to the inside of Ray Kingsbury, but can't hold it down there.
It's hard to hold that bottom line. It seems like Tim, Holgate, Demerit, and maybe Trost and Pileski are the only guys who are really able to run their cars down there and kind of wherever they want. They really have them dialed in right now.
As they work themselves back down towards about the just past halfway distance, by the way. We're working ourselves on lap number 79 of 140. And after those 2 cautions earlier on, we have now had ourselves a green flag stretch here at Homestead Miami Speedway. There is confirmation of your gap for the race lead. Tim Holgate 6/10 of a second advantage over Christopher Demerit right now. You've got Demerit with about a 1.8 second advantage over Trost. So it is really a 2-horse race as it stands, because there you can see Trost, who in turn's got a 1 second gap over Pileski, and then to Lichtenberg is again 1.6 seconds. So this field, after being mighty close earlier on, has really now kind of calmed down, Dave.
Yeah, well, it looks like a lot of guys have finally shaken that caution bug out of them.
Yes.
So, you know, sometimes you learn from others' mistakes, and, you know, you keep racing really aggressive, you keep wrecking, you're not going to have a shot at the win. So, guys are showing out a little bit, guys are trying to run their own races. I mean, we're on lap 80 of 140, so still a long way to go.
Having a look at Kerry Bettenhausen, who has scored a lap down, and he has the 04 car trying to go past him right now. That is Nefri Arg. That is not for position, that has been put a lap down. But Bettenhausen does look as though he's trying to race to remain on the lead lap of sorts with everyone. But Bettenhausen staying not going the way he wanted it to be planned. And bad return to the series so far for that P1 racing team, because we of course had Roger Power now scored a lap down. He had some contact earlier on. And Leshevsky, we saw his issues earlier on. Kerry Bettenhausen is struggling. He's the first driver who scored 1 lap down on the lead lap himself.
Yeah, a very uncharacteristic race for Kerry to have the car not handling like he wants it to. Past couple seasons, he's been right up there in the front, top 5, top 10 position. But the DW12 coming out this year on iRacing has thrown a loop for a lot of these guys. It's going to take a while for everybody to figure out. Holgate, Demerit, Trost, Pileski, Lichtenberg, Nefri, guys in the top 10 have kind of got it figured out right now, but for some, it's not working out so well.
So you can see Bettenhausen confirmed running in the 19th position for the time being. Joe Branch and Ray Kingsbury, they continue their battle right now for the 9th spot on the racetrack. There you can see Joe Branch, and you see just ahead of him is Ray Kingsbury. But these guys, they've arguably now got to start working together a little bit to try and close that gap that they have to Courtney Terrell, just who's 1.7 seconds ahead of them right now.
Yeah, you definitely have to have some co-opetition, as Daryl Waltrip used to say, with some of the guys you're racing against. Even if it's somebody you don't like, sometimes you have to work with them to get to the same place. Though it would probably be beneficial for Kingsbury Branch, those guys, to try to work together, not, you know, getting each other's dirty air or make anything crazy if they want to try to make them some spots, because doing it by themselves is not going to work.
Here is your race leader, Tim Holgate, as we get closer to 50 laps to go here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll step aside for just one moment, and then we'll be back with the last 50 laps of this race. You are watching RaceSpotTV.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 to Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93, 39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's the race for the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go. As you love it.
Here we go.
You love it. The 0-1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big jump.
Looking high above at Homestead Miami Speedway. As a reminder, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com marks the start of championship week this coming week on iRacing. Can Michael Conti hang on to the championship, or will Ray Alfala be able to claim his third crown? Find out on PSR TV and iRacing Live. That'll be this Tuesday, and the start time for that will be 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We've also got the final round of the 2014 iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series this coming Saturday here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. And Gregor Hutto, of course, Dave, is now a 4-time champion.
Gregor continues to prove why the term alien is used for guys on iRacing that just cannot be beaten. Congratulations to him. Probably, if there was an iRacing Hall of Fame, he'd have to definitely be a first ballot candidate.
Indeed so. Tim Holgate's got that gap up now to 1.1 seconds over Christopher DeMera. And this is what I was saying a little bit earlier on, Dave. Some drivers a little bit faster at the start of a run, other drivers a little bit faster at the end of the run. I think that more than to say that DeMeritt slows down, Tim Holgate just finds the nitrous button and boom, he's away.
Yeah, I'm looking at his last 10, 15 laps, and it's just click, 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 just slow, faster, faster, faster. He actually ran a 24.236 as his fastest lap of the race not 3 laps ago. So he's really turning it on right now. He's in a groove. He's got nobody in front of him, no real pressure from behind. He's in his own little world right now, and he's loving it.
And importantly for him, his car does still work in traffic. That gap remains at 1.1. We've got ourselves, just having a look through, I think there's 15 cars right now scored on the lead lap. But when you put that all into perspective, Holgate's car is working beautifully in traffic, so it doesn't matter that he's putting so many cars a lap down right now.
Yeah, his car is working everywhere he needs it to. You kind of saw that on the start. He started 4th and was able to shoot up to the lead pretty quickly, so he's got the perfect mix of speed and aerodynamics in the car, so he can be fast no matter where he's at on the track or who's around him.
Now, a little bit earlier on, we were talking about how some of these drivers are going to be thinking about the long game. Chuck Eisenberg, right alongboard of him, is one such driver. He's got himself a 0.2 of a second gap to guys around him, David Stockrider, but these guys have scored 1 lap down. The issue for people like Holgate will be, Dave, that they've got to work themselves through lap traffic who are battling for position, because every point in this series really does count, as I think I just saw Kerry Bettenhausen almost making contact there with one of the Kingsburys.
Yeah, well, it's really close right now between all these guys 1 lap down battling for top 15 position. Definitely when Tim comes up to these guys, he's going to have to be very careful and also a little trusting of the guys in front of him to know that, hey, the leader's coming up again to put us a lap down. Yeah, he knows they're battling for position, but at the same time, they need to be respectful of the leader who's already passed them once.
There was potentially a slight touch off the wall for Kerry Bettenhausen. Just got a replay up on your screen. Indeed, there was a touch for Bettenhausen down in towards turn number 1. Yes, Cam?
Well, I just looked. Matt A. Kingsbury just went to the pits, and he was the last car, the last green flag pit stops. He was the first one in, so I believe we are probably going to start entering that green flag pit window again.
Yep. And, oh, this is mighty close for Kingsbury right now.
Well, I watched Terry Mathiasen take advantage of these guys' Dyson. He made up 3 spots on one straightaway, dove to the inside, made the car stick into the corner. He passed Ray Kingsbury, David Stockrider, and Joe Branch all at the same time.
Wow.
Great movement there.
As we're actually having a look from the rear of Terry Mattinson, there you can see the battling going on around them. But some of these guys, I think, are going to be close to whether or not they can make it on this final stop. You might get a little bit of that proverbial fuel saving coming into play soon. And we'll get a look at the math in a moment. But I have got the feeling, Dave, that we might have a repeat of last year, down to the final laps on these guys having to try and save a little bit of fuel.
Yeah, well, Tim Holgate may be in that position right now. He's slowed his times down about a 1/10 a lap, which has allowed DeMeritt to close in to get that draft again. Talking to some of the Banshee guys yesterday, they were saying they were expecting the pit window to be 35 to 36 laps, which we're just about to approach. So I think if we cross 1 or 2 more laps over, guys should be able to make it a 1 more pit stop as Tim Holgate, the leader, pits.
Yep, so here comes Holgate, and that is why he slowed that car down a couple of laps ago. Nefriag, by the way, just coming onto the racetrack after making a pit. You see pit time there for Nefri, 9.1 seconds, but you've got Demerit out on the racetrack. You've got Holgate on pit road. You can see pit road speed 45 miles an hour, 38.172. That was a slow by my records, a bit of a slow in lap. Let's have a look at what Polensky does. Polensky's last lap time was a 37.8, so again Holgate slow onto the box.
It might be a little conservative into the box, but he's definitely shown he comes out pretty quick as he flies out of his pit box and leaves Pulaski in his dust.
Yep, so there you see Pulaski coming out of pit road. His pit time a 9.6 second stop. For Tim Holgate, he does himself an 8.6 second stop. But did they fill it all the way up? That is going to be the question.
Demerit was coming in the pits and John Porzick was in his way. That's going to cost him a little bit of time.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye out on Christopher Demerit then. So we have got that unanswered question. Has Holgate got enough fuel to go to the end of the race? Arguably, Demerit is in a bit of a better position right now as his pit in time at 37.8 once again for him. As we have a look, pit road is a very busy place right now, Dave.
Yeah, well, by my count, there's 8-9 cars on pit road right now. So you're going to have to be careful to make sure that guys that are lapped down aren't getting in your way either, because everyone can pit right now, so it could be pretty dicey.
9.4 second stop there for Christopher Demerit, and there you can see the battle for the race lead. It will be close.
It's going to be close.
It's going to be mighty close, but Holgate will sweep past on the outside line. He will retake the overall race lead of this event once, of course, pit stops are sorting themselves out. And actually, Holgate, he does gain a little bit again. That gap by my watch, there's a big wreck behind him.
This is going to change the dynamic of this race big time because Tim Holgate is a lap down. Courtney Terrell, Joe Branch, and Gary Borkenhagen were still on the track.
Yep.
Brandon Trost wrecked with John Porzick.
So, get ourselves a replay of that one. Brandon Trost, John Porzick, after 2 very good races, will be classified as out of this event. Let's see what happened. Now, was this actually coming out pit road? They're side by side. They're running themselves 3 wide. We saw the incident as they came towards the start-finish line. As you can see, Trost getting himself up high. The 2 make contact there, and that is what puts them out of the race. We'll get ourselves another look at that. Yes, Cam.
And, well, they had both just left the pits. This was on their out lap, and Trost had got a good jump off of getting onto that straight, and that's why they got 2 wide coming off on those brand new tires.
Yeah,
well, I'm sorry, Will.
Get ourselves another replay, though, and you see down into 3 and 4. Dave, that was the issue. Go ahead.
John Porzick was up on the outside. Trost starts moving up. John takes the low line, and then Trost looks like he just tries to turn. I don't want to say he turned down on him, but he didn't follow the usual progression of moving up the track. I don't know why Trost would so vigorously defend that position against a guy who was a lap down, but unfortunately ended up costing him a good position because he was running in the top 5 before this incident.
Yeah, so we'll have a look on board with Brandon Trost because they can see you had John Porzick just behind him there, and then they work themselves. When Porzick tries to do the switch under, coming out of the corner, we've got our super slow-mo working on this, and the contact just happened as Porzick tried putting that car down to the inside, and you can just see the incident there on your screens. But the thing is that both Trost and Porzick are out of the race, and Courtney Terrell is currently classified as your overall race leader.
Yep, Terrell, Branch, Borkenhagen had not pitted yet, so Holgate, Demerit, all those guys are going to have to take the wave around, and they're going to be stuck behind some lap cars and stuff, so we'll really see what Tim Holgate has in his Oboto machine with less than 30 laps to go.
So as it stands, it is Courtney Terrell leading from Joe Branch, Gary Borkenhagen, and then Tim Holgate is classified in 4th, Christopher Demerit in the 5th position. There is Tim Holgate on your screen. Now, I'm just trying to figure this one out. Holgate and Demerit will get the wave around, as far as I'm concerned. But people like Lichtenberg, I'm not quite sure how it's going to work with them. Oh no, Lichtenberg, Polensky, we're getting confirmation now. Polensky, Nefriarg, they too should be getting the wave around, as will Ray Kingsbury, Ellis Stevens, Nell McBride, all getting the wave around this next time by. So we'll have 11 guys scored on the lead lap. This will be the last of them. Nell McBride classified in the 11th place, Dave.
Yeah, an unfortunate break for Holgate, Demerit, Lichtenberg, all those guys. Nefry's still charging the front. He's up to 8th position. Unfortunately, the wave round guys are going to have to line up behind any lap car behind the leaders. And with a single file restart, Tim Holgate's going to need to turn that aggressive meter up to 11 if he wants to get to the lead. Because if Courtney Terrell has the opportunity to pull away by, let's say, 2-3 seconds over the field, it's going to be game over for Holgate for this race.
Well, yeah, we'll have ourselves, what, 25 laps to go?
25 laps to go, it's looking like when we go back green.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will step aside one final time, get our last break in. Then we'll come back for the closing stages of this first round of the 2014 16th Street Racing League here on RaceSpotTV. We'll be back in just one moment.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 to Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93-39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's the race for the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you love it.
here we go.
You love it. The 0-1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big choke.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Homestead. This guy is classified as your race leader. It is Courtney Terrell. We are getting set to go back to green flag racing here. Green flag back in the air. We are back green. Courtney Terrell with a good jump there. He knew how important that one was going to be there, Dave.
Absolutely will. The top 3 guys have 4, 5, 6, 7 lap cars in between him and Holgate. So that's a great buffer for the top 3. I don't know if Tim Holgate's going to be able to make up this much time.
As you can see, there is Holgate. He is running himself in the 4th position right now. And he has got himself past some lap cars. But you can see it's almost a straightaway to your leaders. You can just see in the distance cars work themselves into turn number 1 and 2. Holgate has still got to get himself past all of this traffic and then make the charge to the race lead. And the gap to the race lead as it stands right now is 4 seconds.
Yes, it is. Well, John Porzik moves out of the way. Race control reminding the lap cars to be mindful of guys racing for position. So we'll see if they can be a little courteous and maybe make Holgate's path to the front just a little easier.
Running on board with Lichtenberg as he'll have himself 2 guys running side by side just ahead of him. Lichtenberg, you can see he's that last car in that gaggle of cars, so no one really behind him. But he has got that P1 racing car who's up on the high side again. Benhausen has really been working that high line here today, Dave.
Yeah, that seems to be the only line that suits Kerry tonight, is running at the top. So he's just trying to work it wherever he can, get a decent finish. Unfortunately for Kerry, he's running 19th right now, 2 laps down.
Checking in then with your battle for P1 and P2. There you can see Joe Branch in the green and white Indiana colours. Courtney Terrell just ahead of him on the racetrack. Now as we have a look back from Courtney Terrell, the gap is about 1/4 of a second on the racetrack. These guys, they are essentially now battling for the win if they can just pull ahead of Gary Borkenhagen, who right now runs in that 3rd position. There you can see Borkenhagen on the racetrack. He's just got to hope and get past this lap traffic and find some way of catching back up to these two, Dave.
Yeah, well, it's not looking good for Gary right now. He's lost the draft, and he's losing the draft to Kingsbury, 17th position, 2 laps down. For Gary, with about 10 laps to go, he's probably just hoping that Holgate doesn't pass him so he can hold on to a podium right now.
As there you can see Joe Branch, he is battling for the lead. It's about a 1/4 of a second, but Branch does run a little bit high there, out of corner number 2. And these guys, if they do seem, it does seem to be, if they run high in 2, then try and come back down the racetrack, that is when that car gets ultra wicked loose there, Dave.
Yeah, especially if you're diving down to the very bottom groove underneath that first tar seam. Really seems to upset the cars that aren't quite dialed in to run on that lower banking.
Having a look on board with Holgate, and you can see he has cleared all that traffic, but the gap to the lead, still 4.1 seconds on the racetrack. He's going to need at least another caution to get back into this.
Absolutely will. He's not going to be able to win this race without either problems from the leaders or a caution.
Oh, we had a car just smoking behind him there. But we've got mighty close racing as we're riding along board with Neff Briard. You can see just to his right-hand side, you've got one car that is the number 25 car of Ray Kingsbury. And now here comes Neff down to the inside of Vic Cordell. This isn't a passable position. Cordell is scored 1 lap down, but Neff Briard, this is what these guys on the lead lap are worried about. The lapped down cars racing for position, as they are technically entitled to do so.
That's absolutely right. They're allowed to race with each other, but you know as well as I do, and I'm sure a lot of you race fans know, when your favorite driver's battling with lap cars and your favorite driver's on the lead lap, it gets awful frustrating. And they're not going to just move out of the way. It's really hard to deal with, just from a driver's position, knowing that guys in front of you are not racing for your lap. They're kind of holding you up.
And at the rear of that train right now, you've really got Matt Polensky, Neff Briard, Brandon Lichtenberg battling for position. There's Polensky, there is Arg, and there is Lichtenberg as Jonathan Goke up on the high side. Of course, he's been in the wars today in his pink machine representing Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But Brendan Lichtenberg, for him now, it's a case of getting as many points as possible. He's ahead of the huge gaggle of cars, but if he can just close up to the rear of Neff Briard a little bit, who's battling with Polensky, every point for Lichtenberg now does matter.
Absolutely, as it does every week. You got to battle for every spot you can, because you never know when 1 or 2 points might come in real handy.
So
Neff
down
is all over
to,
the back of
oh,
Polensky
he
right now.
really is, as we've got ourselves 11 guys scored on the lead lap, as here we can see battle for position down to the inside. Will go Arg on the Team Velociraptor car. Will he be able to hold it on that inside line? This is the battle for P6, and Nefri can't clear him down into 1. He will get the arc he needs, but for Nefri Arg, he now has to run another corner on that inside line. He can now drift up, but that will give him a little bit more vulnerable to Demerit trying to cut back in the next half a lap or so.
Yeah, you know, Will, Nefri was trying like heck to move up in front of him coming off the floor, checking those mirrors. He wasn't able to make it happen, did push the envelope, cleanly passed him for the position, and it looks like he's going to start to pull away a little bit from Matt in the 75 car.
Out front, it is Courtney Terrell who leads away by 4 tenths of a second over Joe Branch, and this is the guy who won the first round of the championship last year, Dave. And Courtney Terrell, he does seem to be one of those drivers who just absolutely loves Homestead.
Yeah, Courtney Terrell, last year's defending race winner. Not the fastest guy out there, but as racing goes, you don't always have to be the fastest one to have a chance to win the races. He was able to stretch his field a little longer than everybody else, was able to stay out when that caution came out, inherited the lead, and he's been able to hold off Joe Branch and Gary Borkenhagen so far, as we only have 10 more laps to go. Holgate's not gaining time on the leaders.
10 to go, and Cam, for Holgate, now he's got to be in that point that if he can't get a caution in the next 4 to 5 laps, he's got to just concede defeat and consolidate his 4th position.
Yes, and that's always something you never like to have happen, a caution right in the middle of green flag pit stops. But I do have to say it's very interesting that Tim Holgate is not running his fast laps as he was earlier. 24.7 last lap by. Courtney Terrell doing 24.4s. So it seems like Courtney was able to just hold off enough, and when he finally got the position, was able to just put the laps down.
And of course, Holgate has had to run in so much more traffic compared to earlier on here today. That car does seem to work, but Holgate doesn't need to save fuel the same way he would have had to have done so previously, because that question was out of the window, Dave. So it is a curious tale of what happened to Tim Holgate's pace.
Well, when he was passing lap traffic, he would slow down a little bit, but now he's got 4 or 5 cars ahead of him. Yeah, there's like within a straightaway of him, but that many cars.
Oh, we got a car in the wall, 2 cars in the wall. This could be a caution.
Caution is out.
It is
Caution
indeed
is out.
a caution. As we can see, Ray Kingsbury upside down there. We'll get ourselves a replay of that, and this means that we have got ourselves a shootout all of a sudden.
Ray hit the wall, and Niall McBride followed, unfortunately, and then it looked like Chuck Eisenbarth was unable to split those two and ran in the back of Kingsbury, causing some damage to his car.
Get ourselves one more look at that then for Ray Kingsbury. Working himself down in towards turn number 1 and 2. Just got himself a little bit tight in the centre of the corner, and there you won't be able to see it. Just rubbing against the wall there, and Dave, game over for Ray Kingsbury, but what an impact that's going to have.
Huge impact. This was absolutely the caution Tim Holgate was looking for. He was not faster than Courtney Terrell. He was not able to gain the time on the track. He was so handicapped with all those lap cars behind him, having to fight tooth and nail. Under this caution, he can let those tires cool down a little bit, maybe kick that fuel setting up to number 1. He's got 3 cars ahead of him. Courtney Terrell's got some speed. He was running similar speeds to Holgate earlier, so we'll see how it shakes out. And I think all lap cars should get moved to the back now with less than 10 to go, so they should not be able to interfere with the leaders.
The rules of racing then, with 10 laps or less to go in the 16th Street Racing League. Of course, single file restarts apply no matter where we are throughout the race, but with less than 10 laps to go at the point the caution comes out, just have to caveat that, you will get all the guys scored 1 lap down, sent to the rear of the field. So what that does mean is it will be in line, Terrell from Branch, from Borgenhagen, from Holgate, from Demerit, Nefriarg in 6th, Matt Polensky in 7th, Brendan Lichtenberg in 8th, Alice Stevenson 9th, Now McBride rounds out your top 10. Cam, last lap restarts are always entertaining. By our watch, it looks as though it's going to be possibly a 3-lap dash.
Yes, well, we're familiar with green-white checkers. This is a little more mature. We've got a couple of laps. This is naturally brought out by a massive crash there. This is going to be a lot of drama. We're finally going to be able to see if Tim Holgate's going to be able to move his way through these guys, these faster guys. I'm not sure if they're going to be fully up to speed before they go green, but this is looking like there's going to be a lot of drama at the end here.
It does, and we can see there your top 4 cars as they go to stand pat. Tim Holgate is currently the 5th one in line, and that is, I believe, Tony Holmanen, yes, you can see there, who is currently scored the 4th one in line, but he will have Tim Holgate going past him in just 1 moment's time. Now, there are a couple of people coming down on towards pit road, Dave. We have got to bear that one in mind, but really, these guys now just trying to get themselves some fresh tyres to make sure that their last couple of laps are as good as possible, or just try and keep out the way.
Yeah, well, there's a couple varying strategies on coming to pit road. Ellis Stevens, very tail end of the lead lap. Why not come in and get some tires? You may be able to make up a couple spots here with a quick shootout. Just because you're super fast on a long run doesn't mean that you can't get past on this real short 3-lap dash to the finish. So Ellis might have a little bit of advantage here, having some new tires, and he can be ultra aggressive and know that the car is going to stay under him.
Yeah, Roger Powell also making a pit stop there. Not 17 minutes, unfortunately, our timing having a little bit of issues here today. So we do apologise for that one. But there you can see your race leader. Lights are still on top of the iRacing.com first safety car. So actually, it will be a 2-lap shootout by the looks of it, Dave.
A true, realistic, unadulterated 2-lap shootout. Probably better for Courtney Terrell that there's less laps for Tim Holgate to catch him. It's going to be interesting to see what Tim can do here. He's going to have to make up 2 spots a lap.
Yes.
And then Joe Branch, too. You got 2 Indiana boys on this Indiana night running for the win here. We'll see if these Indiana boys play clean or if they're going to get dirty with each other trying to pick up this first round win.
Well, there you can see the lights are now off on top of the pace car, and it will be Courtney Terrell from this guy here, Joe Branch, Gary Borgenhagen in third, and the guy we're going to ride along board with just for one moment, Tim Holgate, in the 4th position. If there ever is a sweaty bum time, Cam, that time is now.
Yes, and it's going to be very interesting to see when that pace car comes off, because Courtney's let us on a restart once. So will he punch it as soon as the pace car comes in, or will he try and get somebody to have to break it off? So it'll be very interesting to see what Courtney does when he has the field.
Who's going to win this one, Dave?
Well, it's time for Courtney Terrell to get on with the program, as Steve mentioned. Says he needs to go and go often. If I'm him, if I'm in that spot right now, P1, I want to go as fast as I can, try to break a gap, make Joe Branch try to catch you up into a corner with the draft and maybe get a little air push.
Now to answer the question, who's going to win this?
Courtney Terrell.
Cam?
It'd be hard for me not to say Courtney, but I just think Joe's going to manage something.
Well, here comes the
Pace
pace
car
car.
about to pull off.
Off. Here we go. 2 laps to go. An unadulterated green-white checker. Good start there by Courtney Terrell, bringing the field back down towards turn number 1. The thing what you need to see is where is Holgate. Holgate nowhere near close enough. A slow restart for him. He's going to have to get himself past Borgenhagen incredibly quickly. We ride along board with him as they work themselves down in towards turn number 3 and 4. Down to the inside he goes. Desperation arguably there for Holgate. He's going to have to stay on it because this time by we will get the white flag. 1 more lap to go, and here comes Branch to the outside of Courtney Terrell. The last lap of the first round of the season, the last 2 years in a row have been amazing. We're going to get it once again, a drag race 2x2 down the back straightaway. Joe Branch on the outside line. We're going to have on the inside line Courtney Terrell. Who will get it at the flag? It is going to be Courtney Terrell, just claiming victory in the first round of the championship.
Wow, Joe Branch got a little squirrely on the top line there and lost a lot of momentum. Great job by Courtney Terrell to hold off at a heart-pounding 2-lap shootout. Great job for Courtney.
For the second year in a row, Courtney Terrell wins the opening round of the 16 Street Racing League here on RaceSpotTV. And what a way to do it. He had to earn that one, Dave.
Absolutely had to earn it. The paycheck he gets today will definitely be signed with sweat and blood for sure, because he had to. Nothing was given to him today, and we got to give credit for Tim Holgate, able to rally to a 3rd place finish after getting caught a lap down. So, yeah, I know he's disappointed not taking the win, but points wise, that's a great finish for him.
Still struggling with the donuts as he did last season, though.
Well, you know what? As long as I take the checkered flag, I don't care how ugly the donuts look.
Courtney Terrell, your winner here today, the first round of the championship. Ladies and gentlemen, then, to run through your final race results here from Homestead Miami Speedway. Courtney Terrell takes victory there by Joe Branch by just 44 1/1000ths of a second. Tim Holgate able to move up into 3rd place, getting himself past Borgenhagen on the final lap. However, wasn't able to contend for the win. Christopher Demerit in 5th, Matt Polensky in the 6th position, Brendan Lichtenberg in 7th, Ellis Stevens in 8th, now McBride in 9th, and Nefri Arg losing 4 spots there on that last lap restart. He comes home in the 10th position. Vic Cordell 11th, David Stockrider 12th, Justin Dion in 13th, Chuck Eisenbarth in 14th, Roger Power in 15th, and then Matt Kingsbury in the 16th position. Matinson, Porzek, Bettenhausen, and Hulleman rounds out your top 10. Rest of the race results up on your screen. Dave Judson, who is your driver of the race?
I hate to be predictable, but gotta give my driver of the race to Courtney Terrell. He did a great job playing the strategy just right, being able to stay out long enough where he was able to take advantage of a situation when the caution came out, and it propelled him to the victory here in round 1 at Homestead, Miami.
Cam?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Tim Holgate. He was absolutely dominating the race. He ended up getting caught out by a caution. You can't plan for these things. He was absolutely set up for the win, had a great recovery finishing third, making it through all that lap traffic.
Right then, we will have a very quick chat with a couple of drivers. First of all, we will talk to Jonathan Goke. Now, John, your race really didn't go the way you wanted it to, being involved in an incident early on. From then, it was just a case of trying to bring that car home in one piece.
Well, we seem to be having some technical difficulties with Mr. Goke. His mic is pretty muffled.
Yeah, I was going to say. So, unfortunately, we will try and talk to Jonathan Goke next race. And Dave, Homestead Miami Speedway always delivers the goods.
Yeah, it's funny how races seem to play out similarly year to year. Long green flag run there after a lot of incidents at the beginning of the race, and then a close finish at the end. Seems like somebody always gets into an incident near the end of the race and sets up a pretty interesting finish.
Well, unfortunately, we haven't got anyone to talk to, mainly because of the fact no one knows where we are. We will, however, do an extended pre-race show next week to talk to the drivers before they get ready to go racing. But we'd like to thank you for being a part of our coverage of this, the first round of the 16th Street Racing League here on RaceSpotTV. And Dave, next time out, we go to a road course.
Road course racing, Tim Holgate will definitely be strong there at Sebring. He's a guy who's very well-rounded in all aspects of IndyCar racing, so I look for him to be up front once again.
This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation of the first round of the 16th Street Racing League here on RaceSpotTV. For myself, Will Vincent, it's been Cam Walsh and Dave Judson. We will talk to you all next time. Bye-bye.